Welcome to segment 1 of module 5, Supply. We start this module with the determinants of supply. In this segment we will discuss important determinants of supply. We will briefly talk about the law of supply, and I will introduce the term direct determinant of supply. Talking about determinants of supply means to ask what can influence the supplied quantity, under which circumstances. Would a firm produce a lot? Under which circumstances would the firm produce only a little, or maybe not at all? The most important determinant of supply is the price. Discussing a determinant of supply, for example the price, means to ask the question, how does the quantity firms produce change if the price changes? Or, to answer the question, if a high price goes with a high quantity supplied, or vice versa. Since the price is an extremely important determinant of supply, we will cover the price in detail in later modules. Here I will only make a general statement about the law of supply. The law of supply states that the quantity supplied moves in the same direction than the price. If the price increases, the quantity supplied increases too. If the price decreases, the quantity supplied decreases. This also means a high price goes with a relatively high quantity supplied, while a low price goes with a relatively low quantity supplied. Please note, we will cover the law of supply in the next segment in more detail. Costs are also an important determinant of supply. Given the price of a good, the higher the cost, the less will a company produce. The lower the cost, the more will a company produce. The determinant cost represents actually a whole group of determinants, which are related to cost. Examples include material cost. If material cost increase, cost increase. Supply goes down. This is for sure true only ceteris paribus. Remember, ceteris paribus means if nothing else changes at the same time. The ceteris paribus condition is important here because we want to exclude the case where material cost increase and the cost effect is offset by the change of something else. Therefore, the ceteris paribus condition is valid and necessary for all determinants of supply. Another determinant of supply in the cost group are labor cost. This determinant is similar to material cost. If labor cost increase, overall cost would increase too, and supply would therefore decrease. Environmental standards are also a determinant of supply. In a broad way, they also belong in the cost group. Increased environmental standards often lead to higher production cost and ceteris paribus to higher overall cost, and therefore a lower supply. Are taxes a determinant of supply? Yes, they are. They also belong in the cost group. If producers have to pay higher taxes related to their production cost will increase too. So it follows that if a producer considers a tax as production cost, supply will decrease with an increasing tax rate. Another determinant of supply which influences supply in the opposite direction than the ones I already mentioned are technology improvements. If technology improves, companies can often produce with lower cost, which increases supply. Finally, the topic Others covers all determinants of supply not mentioned here, because it is impossible to list all determinants of supply. When we discuss the shift of the demand curve, we discuss the term direct determinants of demand. Therefore, at this point I will introduce what is meant by the term direct determinant of supply. First of all the determinants listed here will be considered as direct determinants of supply. This is also true for those determinants which influences cost. Although their influence is kind of indirect, we will consider these determinants as direct determinants of supply. The only economic variables which are not considered as direct determinants of supply are variables which first influence demand and later indirectly supply. These variables are not considered determinants of supply at all. They are determinants of demand, and we covered them already. Again, economic variables which influence demand and therefore may be the market price are not considered a direct determinant of supply. Reason: the supplied quantity would only be indirectly influenced through a demand change and the price change, but not directly by the variable itself. These variables are called determinants of demand. Here is an example. When the Attorney General runs campaigns against smoking, this will surely reduce the demand for cigarettes, and also the production of cigarettes, and therefore the supply of cigarettes. Although the supply will decrease finally, these advertisements are considered a determinant of demand and not a determinant of supply, since demand was influenced first and later, very indirectly, the supply. What did you learn? You learned about economic variables which are considered determinants of supply. You also learned that variables which influence demand and maybe only indirectly supply are not considered determinants of supply.